So this is lesson 5.5 to 5.6. It's a really large lesson, so I'm going to break it into two parts, part A and part B. So part A, we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing polynomials. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a monomial times a monomial. So if you remember, a monomial is one term, so it's one term times one term. And what you're going to do, this is the basic rule, is you multiply the coefficients, so those are the numbers in front of the variables, and then you multiply the variables according to the rules of exponents. So let's look at the first example, 3a times 5a times 2a. So all you do is take the 3, the 5, and the 2, multiply them together. Now the a's all have exponents of 1 over top of them. So when you're multiplying, all you do, multiplying, and they have the same base, you add the exponents. So they end up with 30a cubed. Next one here, we have negative 3x squared y times 2xy cubed. So all you do is you take the negative 3 and the 2, and you multiply those together. You take the x squared and the x, so you end up with 3 x's there, so x cubed. And the y's, you end up with y to the fourth. Last one here, you got AB times negative AX times 2Y. So if you look, there's a 1 in front of that A, there's a negative 1 in front of that A, and there's a 2 there. So those are your exponents. So you just those are your coefficients. So you just multiply those together. Then the A's and the A's, put those together. There's only one B and one X and one Y. So there's a lot just combined together. So we end up with negative 2A squared BXY. Okay, flip page. So let's go monomial times a binomial. So monomial, again, is one term. Binomial is two terms. So what you have to do is you have to distribute the monomial onto each term of the binomial. And distribute means multiply. So let's look at this first one here. So 3a, and then that's the monomial. And then 4a plus 5 is the binomial. Now, these little lines here, you can draw them in to keep yourself organized. So 3a times 4a, that's the first part here. And 3a times positive 5. There's the second piece over here. So it's really quite easy. 3a times 4a is 12a squared. 3a times 5 is 15a. Okay, look at the next one here. Negative 3 monomial times 2r minus 7. There's your binomial. So negative 3 times 2r, that gives you your negative 6r. And negative 3 times negative 7 gives you your positive 21, because the negative times the negative is a positive. C. We have 5 times 2b minus 3. That's one part of this. And then we also, look at this, subtract 3 times 5b minus 2. So we have to do those separately. So the first part of it is 5 times 2b is 10b. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Negative 3 times 5b is negative 15b. And negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Now the bottom part here is we have to go back to collecting like terms. So the like terms here are the b's and the constant. So 10b minus 15b is negative 5b. And negative 15 plus 6 is negative 9. Okay, go to the third page. Now we have binomial times a binomial. So two terms times two terms. And now this is really so common that we actually have a shortcut to doing this, and it's called FOIL. So what you're going to do is you multiply each term in the first bracket by each term in the second bracket. So FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, last. And it's the order that you multiply stuff in. So let's look at an example here. So here's our two binomials. So first would be the A's. Right, that's this line right here, a times a, which is your a squared. Then you have outside, which is a times positive 2, which is 2a. Inside, which is 3 times a. So you end up with 3a. And then last, which is 3 times 2, which is your 6. So we end up with, and then we combine these two middle terms, the 2a and the 3a gives you your 5a. So you should end up with a trinomial here. Okay, let's look at the next one here. So we're going to do first, outside, inside, last. So first is x times x, x squared. Outside, x times positive 3, 3x. Inside, negative 4 times x. And last, negative 4 times positive 3, negative 12. Now, these two center terms you can combine. So you end up with x squared minus x minus 12. Third example here. 2w plus 3 and 3w minus 4. So again, first, outside, inside, last. So first, 2w times 3w gives you your 6w squared here. Outside, 2w times negative 4, negative 8w. Inside, 3 times 3w, positive 9w. And last, positive 3 times negative 4, negative 12. And again, you're going to collect like terms of the center too. So the negative 8w and the 9w gives us our 1w. So you end up with a nice trinomial. Okay, fourth page. Square of a binomial. So what this is sometimes we write stuff in short form. So for instance, if we have x plus 3 squared, you got to remember that that really means x plus 3 times x plus 3. So you have two binomials. Are you going to have to FOIL it? Yes, you are. So first, x times x, outside, x times 3, inside, 3 times x, last, 3 times 3, which is your 9. And then again, you can combine the middle terms. The most common mistake is they go back, or students go back and do x plus 3 squared. They just square the x and they square the 3. So it's not x squared plus 9. It's not that. It's actually x squared plus 6x plus 9. All right, so let's look at another one here. So we have a minus 5 squared. Write it out the long way. So it's a minus 5 times a minus 5. And then you do first, right, a times a, outside, a times negative 5, inside, negative 5 times a, and last, negative 5 times negative 5. And we end up with a squared minus 10a plus 25. Next one here. Oh, looks like it got screwed up on the screen here, but we're going to do 2m plus 3n squared. So again, write it out the long way, which is 2m plus 3n, 2m plus 3m. Multiply those together. So again, first, outside, inside, last. So 2m times 2m, 2m times 3n, 3n times 2m, and 3n times 3n. Now, here's the interesting part. The center part, 6mn. If you do the multiplication, the other one would have been 6nm. But really, when you're multiplying, you have to remember that the order, you can flip them around, right? Because like 3 times 4 is the same as 4 times 3. So mn is the same as nm. So you just rearrange them so they look the same, and then you can combine them together. And again, this was a little bit tougher for descending order. What do you take as your largest exponent? Is it m squared or n squared? It really doesn't matter. You pick which one you want to do and then put it in descending order. Okay, so that was part A. We'll do part B in the next lesson.